folks. We are back here on WLT's 1370 AM. That number is 219-885-1371. That number again is 219-885-1371. And I wanted to get into this last week, but we ran out of time. But this law, I don't I don't know exactly how I feel about it 100%, even though I've had a week to process it. Basically, the bill, there was a bill, House Bill 1077, which will now allow gun owners to carry without a permit that passed in the Indiana House. The bill is not going to hit the Senate. Essentially, the bill would allow anyone 18 or older to carry a handgun, except for reasons such as having a felony conviction or having a dangerous mental illness. Supporters argue that the permit requirement undermines Second Amendment protection by forcing law-abiding citizens to undergo police background checks. Opponents say that there should be a vetting process. There was a similar bill last year that failed in the Senate, where GOP leaders pointed to opposition from police organizations. Ultimately, if it is signed into law, Indiana would join 21 other states which allow owners to carry firearms without a permit. Now, I'm a Second Amendment supporter, Rev. I am. I truly am. I'm a believer that, in America, especially black people, growing up looking up to people like Robert F. Williams, and I think he wrote Negroes with Guns. I want to say that was the book. But Malcolm X and a lot of those people, the Black Panthers, they really preached the idea that the black community needs to arm itself and protect itself. I understand that, and I support the Second Amendment. But at the same time, I feel like when you're in public, the public good actually matters as well.
Yeah.
And do we need people walking around without being, say, vetted too hard to carry in public? That's where I sort of struggle.
Yeah. I hear you. Now, last time, like you pointed out, last time this bill came up, it made it through the House, and then when it got to the Senate, it got knocked back because the police said, "Look, we don't like this idea." I don't know that anything has changed substantially in the arguments, and so I don't see where the Senate would vote any different this time, because I don't hear the police saying that, "Hey, we think this is okay."
Right.
So I think that this will probably end up going the same way it went last time. To be honest, the argument that the people in the House raise about that this somehow infringes on a person's, ability to, own a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it that way.
Right.
I think it's just like having a driver's license. If you really want to if you really want to drive, you need to learn how. You need to be able to show that you know what you're doing.
Right.
Now, some will argue, well, we don't really have a right to drive, but you do have a right to travel. You have a right to peaceably assemble, and driving is just a technological development. It works better than horses in some circumstances. So, we've had driver's licenses for a long time, and we didn't always have driver's licenses. They didn't invent driver's licenses as soon as they invented cars.
Right.
But it didn't take long for, the governing authorities to say, you know what, maybe we need to regulate this somehow. I think guns are the same thing.
Right.
We need to regulate it simply because we don't have a class in high school that every child has to take called firearm safety.
Right. Don't give the GOP any idea. Well, I will say, but there may be a class that should be out there somewhere. But I was wondering, like, is it different? Like, to me, I feel sort of differently about people having guns in their own personal vehicle. Because in a way, I feel like if you're in your own personal vehicle, if you have a gun in your vehicle, that's like having a gun in your house in a way.
Your vehicle is an extension of your home.
Yeah, your vehicle is an extension of your home. So I feel differently about that than, say, somebody walking in say, a bank or Pizza Hut carrying an AK-47 or something.
Yeah.
So I think that I don't know if there's somehow we could look at it from that perspective and say, look, okay, you don't have to leave your gun at home, but you have to leave it in the car.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be more of a rational response and some sort of compromise that I feel like people can come to.
Although now there'd be see, no matter what solution you come with, there's going to be some sort of problem because, well, if you got to leave it in the car, then the criminal people might be tempted to break into the cars and steal the guns.
Right.
But on the other hand, you could say, okay, well, we're going to have this, and so as a result, cars are built with gun racks.
Yeah, some
So
sort
you
of
got it
gun
in,
compartment.
yeah, you got the gun. It's locked in the rack, and if somebody's gonna try to break into your car to get it, they gotta work hard to get it. And
Right.
the average thief is not trying to work hard.
Right.
They want to just get in, snatch, and grab. But if they gotta bust open a lock to get to it, all this other stuff, well, maybe they might move on.
Right. Oh, we have a caller. Hello, caller.
Hey, I just wanted to clear one thing up. Your car is not an extension of your home. It's just
Right.
like if the police go get a warrant,
Yeah.
they have to get a warrant to search your car and to search your house. If that car is sitting on the property, if it's sitting on the property, they cannot just go in it if they have a warrant to
Wow.
search your house. Done them plenty of times. The second thing, you can get a gun permit in the state of Indiana quicker than you can get a gun license.
Mm-hmm.
To get I said a gun license, a driver's license.
Oh,
To get
okay.
a driver's license, you have to take a written test. You have to take a driver's test.
Right.
To get a gun permit, all you have to do is send in the money and do a background check. I know of 2 or 3 people that have got gun permits within the last, say, about 3 to 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them were scared of guns. Ain't took the gun class or nothing, and I don't know if y'all keep up with it. In the last 4 years, there have been 6 shootings at gun ranges where
Wow.
people have died.
Wow.
Because you got people coming in there with guns. You got the person that walks around, but here it is, someone has a gun in their hand and has never fired a gun. Now, in the state of Illinois, you have to take class to get a gun permit. You have to go through the background check. You have to take the class because they're not just going to hand them to you. But in the state of Indiana, it's easier to get a gun permit than to get a driver's license. And just, I'm for the Second Amendment all day long. But just to tell somebody just 15 years old you can carry a gun. As you mentioned about black folks arming themselves, a lot of black folks are armed. The guns are just illegal. You have a good day.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But those are criminals. Like black people with illegal arms are called criminal. I'm talking about working class, law-abiding, tax-paying American citizen type black people. And I'm glad he actually brought that up because there's this sort of conception that the black community is some super armed community. I see more black people marching out there with people like Father Flager about trying to ban guns and trying to get guns out of people's arms. And
Yeah.
I see black people joining the NRA and going on and on about Second Amendment stuff. Second Amendment stuff like post Black Panthers and post Malcolm X. And I mean the real Black Panthers,
Right.
not the new Black Panthers who are completely divorced from the original Black Panthers. But the idea of gun ownership has been sort of vilified in the black community in a way.
Yeah. And a lot of it, and I hear people talk about it. They'll call in and talk about it. Uh, they're concerned with, the criminal element
Right.
is so much so that they're just it's as if to say if we could just get rid of guns,
Yeah.
everything would be all right.
Yeah. I hear that a lot.
Yeah. Well, one, I don't know how you put Pandora back in the box.
Right.
It's just like with nuclear weapons.
Mhm.
Lord knows they've been having negotiations and organizations, and they've been making treaties for decades to quote unquote control nuclear weapons. They've never gotten rid of them
Nope.
because once they're here, nobody is going to willingly give up all of theirs and trust that the other side is going to do the same.
Exactly. I agree. We have another caller. Hello, caller.
Hi,
Hi.
I would like to say, I'm reading the word that the Bible says anyone that has one of those things, I don't even want to say the word. You live by it, then you're going to die by it. So the most important thing is don't have one because Almighty will be your protector anyway. And I like to say that you unto others as you want it done to you. You treat people right, right will come back with you. You love God Almighty with all your heart, mind, and soul and strength. You're going to love yourself. And when you love yourself, you don't want to hurt anyone else. Think about it. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for
All
your
right.
call, man.
You're welcome.
I agree with her to an extent, but that's not always the truth. I mean, we just talked about Dr. Martin Luther King. This was a man who spent his life preaching justice and truth and love, and somebody really wanted to hurt him.
Well, I mean, we don't even have to look that far. All we got to do is look to last week
Right.
about Norman Bailey.
Right.
According to everybody I know, here's a guy that loved everybody.
Yep.
Here's a guy that never met a stranger.
Right.
And yet a guy walked up to him and he didn't even say, you did it.
Right.
He said, one of your relatives did it.
Exactly.
Now, the logic that Dodd was using, it makes absolutely no sense to me. And yet there are people who walk around who think that way.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that make it incumbent upon the rest of us, since the rest of us are not like the rich folk. You know, we're not like AOC. We don't get bodyguards.
Right.
So, you know, you do the best you can to try to avoid those kind of situations. But at some point, you know, either A, the good people stay locked up in their houses.
Right.
A, you know, the good people don't put gas in their cars, you know, after dark. They only go out from sunrise to sunset. Or B, at some point, the good people start saying, you know what? I ain't going to have my car, you know, carjacked.
Right.
Not today.
Right.
I ain't going to be robbed. Not today.
Right. I absolutely agree. And it's one of those things where it's unfortunate we still have to be talking about this because the Black Panthers were talking about this back in the 60s, you know, about the need for the black community to police itself, to protect itself. And we're still having to have these conversations in a world where people like Norman Bailey and Wallace Broadnax, who was carelessly killed by two young people, very young people under 18 at a gas station. And I remember one of my very early memories of living here in the city of Gary was one time I was in the car with one of my parents. I can't remember which one, whether it was my mother or my father. And we pull into a gas station, it's like 9 or 10 at night, and we're on the way home. And all we see is people scattered and a police officer with a rifle out telling everybody to clear out because they had just started pulling out guns at the gas station. And we were just this close from witnessing a shootout at the gas station.
Wow.
Like, that's unfortunate, but that's the sort of society that we live in here in America. I agree with you. The toothpaste is out of the tube, though. The toothpaste is out of the tube at this point. You're not gonna. There's 400 million guns. There's more guns than people in the United States. You're not getting rid of them. And now, haven't you heard of the 3D printer?
Yeah.
You can 3D print guns now. You don't even need a gun maker to make a gun. You can make a gun in your basement.
Wow.
With a 3D printer. So yeah, I agree that sort of. I think a lot of other countries are going to start dealing with people doing that now, because at least here in this country we can just go to the Walmart and buy a gun, or go to the sporting goods store and buy a gun. In those other countries, they're just going to go and make them in their basement or in the back room somewhere.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of things in my ideal world where everybody treats everybody right. Yeah. There's a lot of things that exist in the current world that wouldn't exist, you know, if everybody treated everybody right. Owners and managers would treat their employees right. You know, in that world, there'd be no need for divorce lawyers, because husbands treat their wives right, wives would treat their husbands right, kids would respect their parents, and, you know, it would be, oh, what a wonderful world.
Yeah.
Except that's not the world in which we live, and there is no country on the planet where that holds the case.
Right.
You know, there's problems no matter where you go. There's just different problems.
Yep, I agree. And with that, we have to go to our final break before we have to get out of here. This 2 hours has gone by so fast.
So fast.
It is 7:41 p.m. We have to go to a break. Please give us a call, 219-885-1371. That's 219-885-1371. I swear to you guys, if you wait to 7:55 to start calling, I'm picking up, okay? Because we got to get out of here at 8 o'clock or Marion Williams comes here and starts regulating, okay?
Uh-huh.
So we will be back on Issues and Answers, Scott and the Rev Friday. Stay with us.